Imagine waking up every morning with a clear purpose and the confidence to tackle your goals. The truth is, real growth doesn't happen overnight. It's built through the small, consistent actions you take every single day. But here's the secret. Most of us don't give ourselves the time or focus to improve. We wait for the right moment or think we need hours of effort to see progress. But what if I told you that just one focused hour a day could change everything? Not because it's magical, but because small, intentional steps build up to big changes. This audiobook isn't about quick fixes or empty motivation. It's about developing the habits and mindset that will make real, lasting transformation possible. You'll learn how to turn an hour into a powerful tool for personal growth. Clarity, discipline, and success all start with that 1 hour. So ask yourself, what are you waiting for? The change you're looking for begins now. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Why 1 hour a day is all you need to make real progress toward your goals. The power of small, consistent efforts. There's something almost magical about small, consistent efforts. At first glance, it might seem like the little things you do each day won't make much of a difference. But when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, those small actions can add up in ways you never imagined. Think about it like planting a seed. At first, you don't see anything. You water it, you nurture it, and you give it sunlight. But it's easy to get discouraged because the progress isn't immediate. But over time, that seed begins to sprout, and soon enough it turns into a strong, flourishing plant. This is the power of consistency. In the same way, when you commit to small actions every day, you're laying the foundation for something much bigger. It doesn't matter if it's as simple as reading for 10 minutes a day, writing down your goals every morning, or working on your passion project for an hour a day. Those small efforts start to compound and snowball. What feels like just another hour of work today might turn into a huge breakthrough tomorrow. It's the consistent, daily effort that leads to real growth. There's no magic shortcut to success, but small, intentional steps pave the way for long-term results. The beauty of small efforts is that they're easy to begin, and they don't require an overwhelming amount of energy. You don't need to quit everything else in your life or make drastic changes. You just need to decide to do something consistently. The key is that small actions don't feel intimidating. It's not about making big leaps every day. It's about showing up and doing something, anything, that moves you forward. Over time, that consistency builds up and becomes part of your routine, your identity, and eventually, your success. One of the most powerful aspects of small efforts is that they create momentum. When you keep showing up, even in small ways, you're constantly reinforcing the idea that you are capable of doing hard things. It's like when you start exercising. At first, it's difficult, and the progress is hard to see. But after a few weeks, your body starts to feel stronger, your energy increases, and you start to see results. The same happens with personal growth. The more you show up for yourself, even if it's just a little each day, the more you build the momentum needed to tackle bigger challenges. These small actions also make it easier to stay motivated because the results are more immediate. When you focus on completing a small, manageable task, the feeling of accomplishment is right there. You don't have to wait weeks or months to feel like you've achieved something. That immediate reward can fuel your next action, and before you know it, you've built a habit that sustains you. And here's something incredible about small, consistent efforts. They teach you patience and discipline. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need instant results. In a world where everything is available at the click of a button, we've become conditioned to expect fast fixes. But growth doesn't happen that way. When you focus on the small, consistent actions, you start to understand that real, lasting change takes time. You begin to see progress not as something to rush, but as something to enjoy. The process itself becomes as fulfilling as the end result. When you look at successful people, you'll notice that they didn't get there by waiting for the perfect moment or waiting for everything to align perfectly. They got there because they decided to take small, intentional actions day after day. The magic isn't in the big, dramatic gestures. It's in the quiet, often invisible work that gets done consistently. And this applies to everything, whether it's building a business, improving your health, or learning a new skill. It's the daily effort, no matter how small, that eventually leads to the big rewards. So what if today was the day you decided to commit to that one small thing? What if you dedicated just 10 minutes each day to something you want to achieve? Maybe it's writing that book, building your side business, or even taking time for yourself. At first, it may not feel like much, but over time, those 10 minutes will add up. And soon, you'll look back and realize that those small, consistent steps changed everything. Next, we'll talk about how dedicating just 1 hour can create massive change and keep pushing forward, even when the path feels hard. But remember, it all starts with small actions. So think about what you can do today to move toward your goals, even if it's just a tiny step. Stick around. Big things are coming. How dedicating just 1 hour can create massive change. Imagine if you could change your life with just 1 hour a day. 1 hour. It sounds too simple, doesn't it? We've all heard the phrase, time is money, and most of us think of time as something we're constantly running out of. But what if I told you that dedicating just 60 minutes a day to something meaningful could create a massive shift in your life? That hour could be the catalyst for your transformation, setting you on the path to achieving things you once thought were out of reach. You're probably wondering how something so seemingly small could have such an impact. Well, let me show you how. Think about the last time you were consistent with something. Maybe you stuck to a workout routine for a few weeks, or committed to writing every day. It didn't feel like a huge sacrifice, did it? Yet, over time, those small, consistent actions added up. That 1 hour, if spent on the right things, can snowball into something much bigger. You might think an hour isn't enough to make a difference in a world full of distractions and endless to-do lists. But I promise, it's not the quantity of time you have, it's how you use it. When you dedicate that 1 hour to something meaningful, whether it's working toward a goal, building a skill, or investing in personal growth, something magical happens. You start to build momentum. The more you show up and give that hour to your dreams, the more you start to believe in yourself. It becomes a habit, and that habit starts to shape your future. You may not see immediate results in the first few days or weeks, but just wait. 1 hour a day focused on your biggest goals is like planting seeds in the ground. You may not see them sprout right away, but with consistency, those seeds will begin to grow. Think about it like this. The people you admire, the successful entrepreneurs, athletes, or artists, didn't get there by working nonstop for 12 hours a day. They probably started small, just like you can. They dedicated an hour, maybe 2, each day to their craft. They broke down their big, intimidating dreams into manageable chunks of time. That's how progress is made. Not through grand gestures, but by showing up again and again and putting in the work. The magic isn't in the big leaps. It's in the small, consistent actions that add up over time. It's easy to get caught up in the pressure to do more, to rush things, and to look for shortcuts. But I'll tell you this. The real magic happens when you trust the process and commit to showing up, even if it's just for an hour each day. That 1 hour will not only move you closer to your goals, but it will also give you clarity. The more you show up, the more you begin to see what works, what doesn't, and where you need to improve. Every hour you dedicate to your growth brings you one step closer to your dreams, and every step builds on the last. Now you might be thinking, but I have so many things to do. I don't have the time for just 1 hour. Here's the thing, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's not about having more time. It's about choosing to make that time count. Prioritize what really matters, and the hour will find itself. You might need to wake up a little earlier. Cut down on time spent scrolling through social media, or shift your focus to your goals instead of distractions. But trust me, that hour is worth it. It's an hour that can change everything for you. And it doesn't stop there. As you continue to dedicate that hour each day, you'll see your confidence grow. You'll start to believe in your ability to make things happen. 1 hour turns into 2. 2 turns into a whole day of focused, purposeful work, and before you know it, you've created a momentum that's hard to stop. What felt like an impossible goal is suddenly within reach. So what's stopping you from taking that first step? Imagine the growth you can experience in just 1 hour. What could you achieve if you dedicated 60 minutes a day to your dream? It might seem like a small amount of time, but those 60 minutes can stack up in ways you never imagined. You'll look back and realize that the little hours you invested led to a big transformation. In the next chapter, we're going to dive into the first thing you should do with that hour to set yourself up for success and really make it work for you. If you're feeling skeptical, or if you think your goals are too big to fit into just 1 hour, I promise you won't want to miss it. Stick around, because we're just getting started. Chapter 2. The first thing you should do with that hour to set yourself up for success? the importance of clarity and intention. There's a magic that happens when you're clear about what you want and you're intentional about how you go after it. Think about the last time you set a clear goal. Maybe it was to get fit, start a project, or improve a relationship. You probably felt excited, motivated, and full of purpose. But then, as the days went on, things got blurry. Your focus wavered, distractions crept in, and suddenly, that goal you were so passionate about began to feel distant, almost unreachable. That's what happens when we don't have clarity and intention. Without these two things, it's easy to get lost. The world is full of noise, and it's so easy to be pulled in a million different directions. But when you get crystal clear about what you want, everything starts to shift. You gain direction. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. The path becomes clearer, and every decision you make seems to naturally move you toward your goal. Think about it. When you're clear on your why, the purpose behind your actions becomes almost magnetic. It's not just about achieving a goal. It's about feeling the pull of that purpose every day. When you know exactly what you're working towards, it feels less like work and more like a fulfilling journey. It's like getting into a car with a map and knowing exactly where you're headed. You can enjoy the ride because you're not second-guessing every turn. Without clarity, though, it's like driving blindfolded. You might be moving, but you're not sure where you're going, or worse, if you're even going in the right direction. This lack of clarity causes mental clutter, and that clutter drains your energy. You end up feeling like you're spinning your wheels, exhausted, yet unsure of why things aren't progressing. But when you add intention into the mix, that's when the magic happens. Intention is more than just a plan. It's an inner compass that guides you toward your vision. It's not just about what you're doing. It's about why you're doing it. It's about knowing what truly matters to you and committing to making decisions that reflect that. Without intention, everything feels like a series of random tasks that don't seem connected. But when you align your actions with your values, your focus sharpens and your progress becomes inevitable. Let's say you're trying to improve your health. You could set a goal to exercise more. But what does that really mean? Without clarity, that goal is vague. But if you get specific and say, I want to run 3 times a week to build my stamina and feel more energized, suddenly you have a clear intention. Your actions become deliberate, and every time you run, you're not just checking something off your list, you're fulfilling your purpose. Every step feels like a small victory, pushing you closer to your overall goal. Clarity and intention also help you make better choices. When you know exactly what you want, it's easier to say no to the things that don't serve you. It's like going to a buffet. If you don't know what you're hungry for, you might fill up on random dishes that leave you unsatisfied. But if you know exactly what will nourish you, you can focus on that, and everything else falls away. The more focused you become, the more energy and time you can dedicate to things that matter. And here's the part that really hits home. Clarity and intention also bring peace. When your focus is sharp and your actions are in line with your desires, you experience less stress and anxiety. You stop feeling overwhelmed by all the choices and decisions. Instead of spending your time wondering if you're doing the right thing, you start living with a sense of confidence and certainty. You know you're on the right path, and every action becomes part of a bigger picture. So what happens when you choose to embrace clarity and intention? It's a transformation. You go from feeling scattered and uncertain to feeling empowered and focused. Your life stops feeling like a series of disconnected events and starts to feel like a purposeful journey. Next, we'll explore a step-by-step guide to making the most out of your first hour, no matter how challenging things get. Stay tuned, because you'll be learning how to bring this power into your daily routine and make it stick for the long term. Trust me, this is just the beginning. A step-by-step guide to making the most out of your first hour. Imagine the power of starting your day with absolute intention and focus. Just 1 hour, and it sets the tone for everything else. It may seem like a small amount of time, but that first hour of your day has the ability to transform how the rest of it unfolds. The difference between a day where you're reactive, scattered, and overwhelmed versus one where you're in control, focused, and energized often comes down to how you spend that very first hour. So let's talk about how you can make the most out of this precious time. Start by waking up with purpose. I know that's easier said than done. Mornings can feel rushed, and the temptation to check your phone or snooze the alarm is strong. But if you can train yourself to wake up without distractions, you've already won half the battle. Instead of reaching for your phone, Start by centering yourself. A few deep breaths can work wonders. It's about giving yourself space to pause and come into the present moment, rather than diving straight into a whirlwind of thoughts and to-do lists. This simple practice of mindfulness in the morning primes your mind for focus. Now that you're awake and centered, it's time to set your intentions for the day. It's incredibly powerful to take a moment to reflect on your most important goals. What do you want to accomplish today? Not the small tasks like checking emails or doing laundry, but the things that actually move you toward your bigger goals. This could be writing that chapter of your book, making the sales call you've been avoiding, or finishing that important project. The key is to identify what really matters for the day ahead. When you set clear intentions, you give your mind something concrete to focus on. It's no longer wandering aimlessly. It has a purpose, and that purpose keeps you grounded. Once you've set your intention, it's time to move your body. Physical activity in the morning does more than wake you up. It gets your blood flowing and your mind engaged. It could be a quick 10-minute stretch, a walk around the block, or a more intense workout if that's your thing. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself, but to energize your body and mind. Think about it. When your body feels good, your mind is more likely to follow. Energy breeds energy. If you start your day feeling sluggish, it's harder to jump into your tasks with enthusiasm. But when you move, even a little bit, you're telling yourself that today is a day to take action. Next, it's time to tackle your hardest task first, the one that you've been putting off or that feels most daunting. We all have that one thing we dread doing, and we know how easy it is to procrastinate. But here's the thing. If you can knock that task out early in the day, you'll feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. And this doesn't have to be a massive project. It could be something as simple as making a difficult phone call or sending an email you've been avoiding. But the key is to start your day with momentum. Completing something difficult or intimidating first thing gives you a sense of accomplishment that propels you into the rest of your day. It's like taking the first step up a long staircase. The rest doesn't seem as hard once you've made that initial move. As you work through this hour, be sure to limit distractions. Turn off your phone, silence unnecessary notifications, and close any tabs on your computer that aren't relevant to the task at hand. Distractions are the enemies of focus, and the more you allow yourself to be interrupted, the harder it becomes to get back on track. Use this hour to really hone in on the task at hand. When you focus, you can make incredible progress in just 60 minutes. Celebrate small wins. When the hour is up, don't rush on to the next task. Take a moment to acknowledge what you've accomplished. Maybe you finished a project, made some real progress on a bigger goal, or just got yourself in a great headspace for the day. Celebrating even small victories reinforces that progress is possible. It builds confidence and motivation to keep going. The more you celebrate these moments, the more they start to add up, and before you know it, you've built a pattern of success that starts each day strong. This hour doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to stick to a rigid schedule or feel like you've failed if things don't go according to plan. The idea is to intentionally choose how you spend your time and set yourself up for success right from the start. This small shift, this intentional hour, can make a massive difference in how you feel, how you focus, and ultimately, how successful your day and your life will be. So what can you do tomorrow morning to set your intentions for the day? How can you move your body and tackle your most important task first? Even one small change in your routine can make all the difference. Stick around, because in the next chapter, we're diving into how to prioritize your time and use that hour to fuel your personal growth and future success. Something that sticks and continues to drive you toward your biggest goals. You won't want to miss it. Chapter 3. How to prioritize your time and use that hour to fuel your personal growth and future success. Identifying your top priorities and focus areas. Life can feel like a blur sometimes, right? One moment you're working on a project, the next you're juggling a dozen tasks, and suddenly, the day's over, and you're left wondering, what did I really accomplish today? It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of everyday demands, but at some point, we all realize that if we want to move forward, really move forward, we have to focus on what matters most. That's when you begin to understand the power of identifying your top priorities. But here's the thing. It's not always easy. It's one thing to know what you should be doing, but it's another to know what you need to be doing right now to move the needle in your life. Think about your goals for a second. Maybe you've got a big vision, whether it's building a successful career, growing a business, improving your health, or creating a balanced life. These things are big and exciting, but they can feel so overwhelming when you're trying to chase them all at once. And when you're spread thin, nothing gets the attention it truly deserves. This is where the magic happens. When you take the time to really ask yourself, what's truly important to me right now? Identifying your top priorities isn't just about listing out your tasks for the day. It's about understanding what will make the biggest impact on your goals, the things that, if you spent more time on them, would move you forward more than anything else. It's the difference between feeling like you're constantly busy but never truly achieving anything and actually making progress on the things that really matter. Take a moment to think about the things that excite you, the goals that are truly aligned with your values. What would your day look like if you committed yourself fully to those priorities? Let's take a step back and break this down. The first thing you need to do is create clarity. This means getting rid of the noise and distractions. It's easy to get sidetracked by the day-to-day to-dos that feel urgent but aren't important. Ever spent hours on a task just to realize you weren't working toward anything meaningful? Yeah, that's what happens when you don't make your priorities clear. Clarity is the key to staying on track. When you know exactly what matters most to you, it's easier to say no to the things that don't. So ask yourself, what will get me closer to my vision? What really needs my attention today? The clearer you are, the easier it becomes to focus your energy. But clarity alone isn't enough. Once you have a clear picture of your goals, you need to start identifying your focus areas, the tasks or actions that, if you tackle them first, will help you make the biggest strides toward achieving what you want. For example, if you're building a business, your focus might be on attracting customers, creating valuable content, or networking with industry leaders. If you're working on your health, your focus areas might be nutrition, exercise, and mental well-being. The key is recognizing the areas that will have the most impact on your growth. This way, you stop wasting time on things that only feel important, and instead focus on things that will actually bring results. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not about getting everything done at once. We often make the mistake of thinking we need to do it all. But really, the most effective approach is to hone in on one or two major tasks each day, especially those that align with your long-term vision. By consistently focusing on your highest priorities, you start to build momentum, and momentum is powerful. It doesn't matter if you're tackling a small task or a huge project. When you focus and take action on what truly matters, you're building a foundation for success that will eventually carry you through. Let's get practical for a second. Start by writing down the goals you're currently working on. Don't make it complicated. Just get it all down. Then, ask yourself, which of these goals, if accomplished today, would make the most significant difference in my life right now? If you're not sure, trust your instincts. Your intuition knows which goals deserve your attention. From there, you can start breaking them down into actionable steps. By identifying your top priorities, you make it easier to direct your focus and effort to the things that will bring about the most impact. This process of identifying your priorities is like giving yourself a map. Instead of wandering aimlessly, you know exactly where to go and what to focus on. You stop reacting to the distractions that come your way and start acting with purpose. And when you begin to see results, it builds confidence. You start realizing that focusing on the right things really does pay off. And it creates a positive feedback loop. The more you focus on what matters, the more progress you make, and the more confident you become in your ability to keep going. So here's the challenge. Today, take a moment to stop, breathe, and identify what really matters. What are your top priorities? And which of those will move you forward the most today? When you give yourself permission to focus on the right things, you're giving yourself permission to succeed. Next, we'll dive deeper into using that hour to work on what matters most that keep you on track and moving forward. Stay tuned, because the next step is about creating real momentum in your life. You won't want to miss it. Using that hour to work on what matters most. That 1 hour can change everything. You know how it feels when you're stuck in the day-to-day shuffle, constantly juggling tasks, but never feeling like you're making any real progress. You go through the motions, emails, meetings, errands, but by the end of the day, you look back and wonder, did I actually move closer to my goals? It's easy to get caught up in the busy work and forget what really matters. But imagine if you could use just 1 hour each day to focus on the things that truly move the needle for you. 1 hour might sound small, but in reality, it's all you need to make tangible progress if you use it wisely. The key is to choose that hour to work on the things that really matter, not just the urgent things that pop up throughout the day. So how do you make sure you're working on what matters most? It's about shifting your focus from the distractions that drain you to the tasks that energize you and take you one step closer to your vision. The first thing to understand is that this hour should be intentional. Intentionality is everything. Think about the bigger picture. What are your long-term goals? What would make the most significant impact in your personal or professional life right now? This hour isn't about doing random tasks or ticking off a long list of to-dos. It's about focusing on the activities that directly align with your biggest priorities. Whether that's writing a chapter of your book, working on that business proposal, or setting up a strategy for your next career move, you're choosing to dedicate this time to what will make a real difference in your life. Imagine starting your day with that mindset. You wake up, and instead of checking your phone or scrambling to put out fires, you decide to take that first hour and focus solely on something that matters. That feeling of purpose is like a jolt of energy. You're not just passing time, you're making it count. Each action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture you're creating for yourself. You're planting seeds that will eventually grow into something huge. And let's be honest, it's easy to get distracted. We live in a world filled with noise, emails, messages, notifications. The moment you start focusing on something important, it's almost inevitable that something will pop up and try to steal your attention. But here's the beauty of using that hour for what truly matters. When you make the decision to stay focused, to block out the distractions, you send a powerful message to yourself. You're saying, I am worth this time. My goals matter. That kind of commitment doesn't just help you make progress. It reinforces your belief in yourself. The more you show up for yourself, the more you start to trust in your own ability to create real change. The real magic happens when you start to build a habit around this hour. Day by day, you're training your brain to prioritize your bigger goals over the daily distractions. Over time, this hour becomes non-negotiable. It's no longer something you try to fit into your day. It's something you build your day around. And when you start to see the results of this focused effort, whether it's finishing that important project, moving the needle in your career, or achieving a personal milestone, the momentum will build. You'll be amazed at how much you can accomplish in just 1 hour a day. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter and with purpose. But it's not always easy. There will be days when distractions feel overwhelming or when motivation is low. You might feel like giving up or questioning if it's even worth it. But here's the thing, staying committed to that hour, even on the hard days, is what sets successful people apart. It's the consistency that makes the difference. On days when you don't feel like it, that's when this hour counts the most. Because in those moments, you're building resilience. You're proving to yourself that you can show up even when it's hard. And that, in itself, is a powerful habit that will carry you through. By using that 1 hour each day to work on what matters most, you're actively shaping your future. It's not about perfection or doing everything at once. It's about consistent, focused effort. And little by little, you'll look up one day and realize that all those hours, all those small steps, have led to something incredible. So the next time you find yourself questioning how to make real progress, remember that 1 hour can be the difference. It's not about finding more time. It's about using the time you have to focus on the things that will truly transform your life. Stick with me, because in the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the life-changing benefits of consistency and focus when you dedicate just 1 hour each day to your growth that you won't want to miss. Get ready for some real breakthroughs. Chapter 4. The life-changing benefits of consistency and focus when you dedicate just 1 hour each day to your growth. The compound effect of small, focused efforts. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. At first, it doesn't look like much. You water it, give it some sunlight, and then wait. Day after day, you keep doing the same thing, but the change is so gradual it feels like nothing's happening. And then, after a while, you start to notice it. A tiny sprout poking through the soil. Over time, that sprout grows into something stronger, larger, more impactful. This is the compound effect of small, focused efforts, and it's one of the most powerful forces you can harness in your life. Now let's break this down a little. Small efforts, when done consistently, add up to something much bigger than their individual parts. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that if you're not making huge strides every day, you're not getting anywhere. We live in a world that celebrates quick wins and instant gratification. But the truth is, real growth doesn't happen overnight. Real growth is about doing the small things day in and day out, even when it feels like you're not making much progress. Let's take something simple, like reading. Imagine you commit to reading just 10 pages a day. That's it. 10 pages. It doesn't sound like a lot, right? But after a week, you've read 70 pages. In a month, that's around 300 pages, close to a whole book. Keep this up for a year, and you'll have read around 12 books. That's 12 books you wouldn't have read if you hadn't made the decision to pick up the book every single day. It's the same with your goals. A little effort, consistently applied, compounds into major results. But it all starts with that simple, focused action. This is where consistency becomes the game changer. When you decide to focus on small, meaningful actions every day, you begin to see momentum build. That feeling of accomplishment from checking off a task, even a small one, starts to fuel your motivation. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, slowly gaining speed. Over time, these tiny wins become second nature, and what once felt like a struggle becomes effortless. The more consistent you are, the easier it gets, and eventually, you can't imagine your life without these positive habits. Here's where the emotional connection comes in. Think about a time in your life when you've committed to something small, and over time, it became a habit. Maybe it was something like exercising regularly, writing in a journal, or spending time with family. It didn't start out as a big transformation, but slowly, it became part of who you are. That's the beauty of small efforts. They don't require a grand declaration. They don't require an overhaul of your life. They just need patience and the understanding that growth doesn't always look like an instant burst. Sometimes, it's the quiet, small shifts that end up making the biggest impact. But there's a catch. If you're constantly focused on big results or waiting for the payoff to happen immediately, you might miss the magic of small, incremental changes. That's where mindset plays a huge role. When you focus on the process rather than obsessing over the end goal, you start to see things differently. Every step forward becomes progress, not just a checklist to get through. It's about celebrating the small wins because you know those wins are adding up to something bigger. Let's say you're working on a career goal. Maybe you've set out to network with 5 new people every month. At first, it might feel like a small thing. But over a year, that's 60 new connections you've made. Those connections could lead to job opportunities, collaborations, or even new friendships that change the course of your career. It wasn't a huge leap, but the small, consistent actions piled up, and the impact became undeniable. And here's the thing, the compound effect isn't just about success, it's about resilience. When you commit to small, focused efforts, you're also building your resilience. You learn that progress doesn't come in one giant leap. It comes from staying the course, even when things feel slow. It's about knowing that every little bit you do matters. And when setbacks come, and they will, you have the strength to keep going because you've built this habit of showing up. So think about where you're focusing your energy right now. Are you trying to take giant leaps? Or are you committing to small, consistent actions that will add up over time? You don't need to see instant results to know that what you're doing today is shaping your future. Every step, every effort, every choice you make is creating the foundation for something incredible. Next, we'll dive into how consistency creates momentum that will propel you to new heights. But remember, it's those small steps that lead to the big changes. Stick with it, because the compound effect is powerful, and it's working. How consistency builds momentum and accelerates progress. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of starting something new, right? The enthusiasm, the energy, the feeling that this time it's going to be different. But then, days turn into weeks, and that initial spark begins to fade. You might find yourself thinking, why isn't this working? Or why can't I see progress yet? And that's where consistency becomes the secret ingredient. It's the unsung hero of every success story, the quiet force that builds momentum in the background. Picture this, a train at a standstill. It takes a lot of effort to get it moving, so much energy to overcome that initial resistance. But once it starts rolling, it gains speed, and with each turn of the wheel, it moves faster and faster. The momentum is unstoppable. Now imagine that train is your life or your goal, and consistency is the fuel. At first, it's slow. You might even wonder if it's worth the effort. But over time, the more you show up and put in the work, the faster you begin to see results. That's the magic of consistency. It's not about a single massive effort. It's about consistently doing something, even when it feels small or insignificant. Think about your daily routine. When you wake up and you're consistent with your habits, whether that's journaling, exercising, reading, or working on your business, you're creating a foundation for momentum. You might not notice a huge change overnight, but each time you show up, You're reinforcing a habit. The more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. It's like laying brick after brick. Eventually, you'll have built a solid structure. You don't need to see dramatic changes every day. The results come when you trust that each small effort is adding up. Here's a powerful truth. Momentum thrives on consistency. The more consistent you are, the easier it is to keep going. It's like setting a ball in motion. At first, you have to push hard to get it rolling, but once it starts moving, it picks up speed all on its own. Imagine how you'd feel if you dedicated just 30 minutes a day to something you truly care about. At first, it might seem like a small commitment, but over a few weeks, you start to see progress. That progress feeds your confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Every time you show up, you're gaining momentum, and before long, that small effort turns into something much bigger than you ever anticipated. Momentum also gives you energy. Think about when you've had a productive day, even if it was just a few hours of focused work. Doesn't it feel like you could tackle anything after that? That's the power of momentum at play. It's like you're on a roll, and it becomes easier to take on more. You start thinking, what's next? And you feel like you have the energy to keep pushing forward. And when you're working with momentum, things start to click. The steps you take don't feel as hard or as overwhelming because you've built up a rhythm. Your brain gets used to the flow, and it starts looking for ways to keep you on track. But here's the catch. Momentum doesn't happen by accident. It's something you have to cultivate through consistent effort. And sometimes, that's the hardest part. Showing up when things aren't exciting, when you don't feel like it, or when you're just tired. But that's when the magic happens. The secret to momentum is showing up consistently, even when it's hard. The days when you don't feel like doing the work, that's when you build the most momentum because you've proven to yourself that you can keep going, even when it's tough. Every time you push through, even in small ways, it makes it easier to show up the next time. The great thing about consistency is that it's sustainable. You don't have to burn yourself out by trying to do everything at once. The more you focus on consistent, smaller actions, the more natural it feels. And soon you realize that those small actions are making a big impact. Whether it's improving your health, building your business, or developing a new skill, momentum creates a snowball effect. It's like a habit loop. You do something small, you get a small win, and that win fuels the next step. It feels rewarding and motivating, and before you know it, you're moving full speed ahead toward your goal. Here's a challenge. Think about one small thing you can commit to doing every day. Maybe it's reading for 15 minutes, writing 200 words a day, or exercising for 20 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's something you can do consistently, and over time, it will become part of your routine. That small action will begin to create momentum, and before you know it, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. In the next chapter, we'll explore actionable steps to make this hour part of your daily routine. No excuses, even when life tries to pull you off course. Stick with me because we're just getting started, and the best is yet to come. Chapter 5. Actionable steps to make this hour part of your daily routine. No excuses. Creating a routine that integrates this hour seamlessly. Imagine waking up every day with a sense of calm and purpose, knowing exactly what you need to do to set yourself up for success. It feels amazing, right? Now, what if you could do that by dedicating just 1 hour each day to something meaningful? It's not about finding more time, it's about making the time you already have count. The key is creating a routine that naturally integrates this hour into your day, without adding stress or overwhelm. At first, it might feel like another thing to squeeze into your already busy life. You might even be thinking, how am I supposed to fit one more thing into my schedule? But here's the thing. It's not about adding something new. It's about shifting how you use the time you already have. When you set up a routine that supports this 1 hour, it becomes a seamless part of your day, almost like second nature. The secret is consistency. A routine works because it removes decision fatigue. The fewer decisions you have to make, the more energy you have to focus on what really matters. By choosing the best time each day to dedicate to this hour, you create a space for it to thrive. Whether it's the first thing in the morning, during lunch, or in the evening, pick a time when you're least likely to be interrupted and when you know your energy will be at its peak. That's the first step. Next, make this hour something you can look forward to. Set it up so it excites you instead of feeling like a chore. Let's say your goal is to write. You can start by preparing a cozy, inviting environment before your hour begins. You could light a candle, grab a warm drink, or even play some soft music in the background. Make this time feel special. When you treat this hour as a gift to yourself, it won't feel like an obligation. It will feel like a reward. But don't just plan your time, plan your focus. The beauty of an hour is that it's short enough to stay engaged, but long enough to make real progress. The key is to have a clear intention for that time. Before you start, ask yourself, what is the one thing I want to achieve in this hour? By narrowing your focus to one task, you stop yourself from jumping from thing to thing. This prevents you from wasting time or feeling scattered. Instead, you give yourself permission to immerse fully in whatever you're working on. Whether it's writing, brainstorming, or practicing a skill, this is your time to go deep. It's also important to set boundaries for this hour. The outside world has a way of creeping in, pulling you away from your focus. It's easy to check your phone, get sidetracked by an email, or answer a text message. But boundaries are the key to consistency. When you're in your 1-hour block, put your phone on silent, close the door if you need to, and protect that time. The more you honor your focus time, the more your brain will associate it with productivity and success. Another important piece of the puzzle is making this hour sustainable. Don't overdo it. Start small and build from there. If 1 hour feels too much, try 30 minutes and work your way up. The goal isn't to burn out. It's to create a habit that sticks. You want this hour to feel easy and natural, not like a task you dread. Over time, as it becomes part of your routine, you'll start to see how it transforms your day, your focus, and your progress. And let's not forget about tracking your progress. Every time you finish that hour, take a moment to acknowledge the work you've done. Celebrate the small wins. It could be as simple as checking off a task, finishing a chapter, or feeling the satisfaction of progress. When you recognize how far you've come, you create positive reinforcement, making it easier to continue. As you continue to implement this routine, it will start to feel more like a flow. You'll get into a rhythm, and this hour will become a non-negotiable part of your day. It's no longer something you have to fit in. It's something you naturally make time for because you know how powerful it is. The more consistent you are, the more momentum you build, and the more you'll be amazed by what you can accomplish. Next, we'll dive into overcoming barriers and staying committed to your daily hour to this routine, even on the days when life feels chaotic. Trust me, once you've got this hour down, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So stick around, because what you're about to learn will change the way you approach every day. Overcoming barriers and staying committed to your daily hour. There's something powerful about committing to a daily hour. The potential for growth is huge, and just the idea of dedicating an hour to yourself and your goals every single day feels like you're finally putting yourself first. But as exciting as it sounds, we all know that life happens. Things get busy, distractions show up, and that 1 hour you promised yourself somehow never quite seems to happen. It's easy to get excited when you first set the intention. You wake up with a sense of purpose, ready to take on the world. But then, as the day unfolds, you encounter barriers. Maybe you get sidetracked by a phone call. Maybe something urgent comes up at work. Or maybe you simply lose the motivation halfway through. Those barriers are real, and they can be discouraging. It's easy to feel like you failed or that you're not capable of sticking to your commitment. But here's the thing. Commitment doesn't mean perfection. The key to staying committed to your daily hour is understanding that it's normal to face challenges. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is simply their ability to keep going when things don't go as planned. It's not about never missing a day. It's about showing up again after the setback, no matter how small the effort may seem. Think about it. You set aside an hour each day to focus on your growth or your project, and then life throws you a curveball. Instead of beating yourself up, take a moment to acknowledge that this is part of the journey. Life will always present obstacles. What matters is how you react to them. Do you let that missed hour derail your progress? Or do you refocus and try again tomorrow? The beauty of consistency is that it doesn't rely on perfection. You don't have to get it right every day. You just have to keep showing up. One of the biggest barriers people face is feeling overwhelmed. An hour can feel like a lot when you're juggling multiple responsibilities. But what if you broke it down? Instead of thinking, I need to spend a full hour on this, try focusing on the first 10 minutes. That's it. Just 10 minutes of effort toward your goal. Often, once you start, it's easier to keep going. The hardest part is often just beginning. Once you get into the flow, that 1 hour doesn't feel as daunting. It feels like momentum. Another barrier is lack of motivation. There will be days when you simply don't feel like doing the work. On those days, remind yourself that action creates motivation. It's a cycle. The more you push through the discomfort, the more you start to enjoy the process. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory, and with each victory, you'll feel more and more motivated to keep going. Motivation is created by doing, not waiting. The minute you realize that, you'll stop waiting for the perfect moment to take action and start making progress every day, no matter how you feel. And then there's the fear of failure. Sometimes, the thought of taking that first step or tackling that challenging task can be paralyzing. What if it doesn't work? What if you fail? But here's the truth. Failure isn't the enemy. It's part of the process. Every successful person has failed, but they didn't give up. They learned, adjusted, and moved forward. When you commit to your hour every day, you're building a mindset that doesn't fear failure. Instead, you're embracing it as part of the journey. You're giving yourself the permission to fail, to learn, and to try again. Distractions are another common barrier. The digital age is full of them. Social media notifications, emails, texts, endless information. It can be hard to focus when there are so many things pulling at your attention. But here's a simple trick. Create a sacred space for your hour. Set your phone aside, close unnecessary tabs, and eliminate as many distractions as possible. This is your time, your dedicated hour to invest in yourself. Protect it like it's the most valuable thing you have. The more you honor this space, the easier it becomes to stay focused and committed. At the end of the day, staying committed to your daily hour isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. It's about building a habit of consistency, and that habit will carry you farther than any one perfect action. Progress is built on perseverance, not perfection. Every time you show up, no matter how small the effort, you're laying the foundation for your success. So, don't let barriers stop you. Embrace them as part of the process, and keep pushing forward. In the next chapter, we'll explore building a habit that transforms your life and how they can lead to big results over time. Stick with me! Chapter 6. Building a habit that transforms your life. How to make your hour a non-negotiable part of your day. Imagine waking up each morning with a sense of purpose, knowing that 1 hour, just 1 hour, is dedicated to moving you closer to your dreams. Doesn't that sound incredible? But let's be honest, even though the idea sounds great, making that hour a non-negotiable part of your day isn't as simple as it sounds. Life has a way of throwing distractions your way, and sometimes it feels like there's never enough time. But what if you could shift your mindset and truly commit to this hour, no matter what? What if you could make it something you do, without question, every single day? The first step is deciding that this hour is yours. It's not just a suggestion or something you'll try to do. It becomes a commitment, just like brushing your teeth or eating breakfast. When you prioritize it this way, you'll start to see the magic in the small, consistent steps you're taking. You're not simply fitting this hour into your day. You're creating a routine around it. That hour becomes your sacred time, and everything else takes a back seat during that window. But here's the catch. You have to decide in advance when this hour will be. If you wait for the perfect moment or try to fit it in whenever you have time, it's not going to happen. Life will always throw something at you. There will always be something competing for your attention. So instead of hoping for the time to show up, claim it. Is it first thing in the morning when you're feeling fresh? Is it during lunch when things slow down? Or is it at night when the world is quiet and you can focus without interruption? Whatever time you choose, make it consistent. When you do this, it becomes easier to show up every day, knowing exactly when and where you're going to dedicate your hour. Next, let's talk about making this hour sacred. We all have the things we value most: family, health, work. But often, our own personal growth is the first thing that gets pushed aside when life gets busy. By making this hour non-negotiable, you send yourself a clear message that your dreams matter. When you protect this time, you protect your future. It becomes part of who you are. You've committed, and that commitment becomes a promise you keep to yourself every single day. It's no longer something you have to remind yourself to do, because it's built into your routine. It's as automatic as anything else in your day. But what about the days when motivation is low, when distractions are high, or when you just don't feel like doing it? That's when this hour really counts. Those are the days when showing up is the most important. Because commitment is about consistency, not motivation. Motivation will come and go. But your commitment to this hour should be a constant, no matter how you feel. On days when the world feels overwhelming or your energy is running low, remind yourself that this hour is for you. It's your investment in your future. Even if you don't feel 100%, just showing up and doing something, even if it's not perfect, will create momentum. The more you push through, the more your brain begins to see this hour as something non-negotiable. Here's something powerful. Small wins breed bigger wins. Every time you show up for that hour, no matter how small the progress, you're reinforcing the habit. You're telling yourself, I am capable of doing this. I can do hard things. And over time, these little wins add up, and the momentum you've created builds into something unstoppable. Another thing to remember is that you're not doing this in a vacuum. Tell someone, whether it's a friend, family member, or mentor, let someone know about your commitment. There's power in accountability. By voicing your intention to dedicate an hour to your goals, you make it more real. You set up a system of support, and when you're feeling unmotivated or distracted, that person can help hold you accountable. It's like having a personal cheerleader who's rooting for you every step of the way. But let's not forget the importance of flexibility. Life isn't perfect, and there will be days when things don't go according to plan. Maybe something urgent comes up, or you're not feeling your best, and that's okay. What matters is that you find ways to adapt without letting go of your commitment. If you miss your usual hour, try to find another window of time in the day to catch up. Maybe it's a smaller chunk of time, but don't let a setback derail your entire commitment. The goal is progress, not perfection. So here's the challenge for today. Decide when your hour will be and protect that time like it's your most precious resource. Make it a non-negotiable part of your day. And when the distractions come, when life tries to pull you in a million directions, remember, this hour is for you, for your growth, and for your future. It doesn't matter if you start small. What matters is that you keep showing up. Next, we'll dive into how to turn that hour into a habit that sticks and becomes an integral part of your daily routine. Trust me, it's going to be a game changer. Stay tuned. Turning this 1 hour into a lifelong habit for success. Imagine waking up every day with a deep sense of purpose, knowing that, in just 1 hour, you're investing in your future. It's not a temporary fix or a quick burst of energy. It's a consistent, focused effort that slowly builds the foundation for success over time. That 1 hour can change everything, but the true magic comes when you make it a lifelong habit. The kind of habit that doesn't just happen because you want it to, but because it becomes woven into the fabric of your daily life, something you do automatically, without thinking twice. At first it's exciting, right? That fresh commitment to working on something meaningful feels empowering. You're dedicated, and there's energy in those first few days. But then, as the newness wears off, it can get harder. The distractions come. You might slip into old patterns. And that's when the real challenge begins. Making this 1 hour a part of your life, no matter what. The secret is understanding that it's not about doing this hour perfectly. It's about sticking with it, even on the days when you're tired, distracted, or discouraged. Here's the thing. The first few weeks, even months, may feel a little rough. You might wonder if this really matters. But that's where the transformation happens. In those moments when you want to give up, but choose to show up anyway. Because here's the truth. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never feel like quitting. They're the ones who keep going even when they don't feel like it. And that's what makes this hour so powerful. It teaches you discipline. You start to realize that showing up every day, even if it's just for 1 hour, is a small act of commitment to your dreams. Consistency is the real game changer here. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate results. But as you keep going day after day, that hour adds up. What starts as a small amount of time gradually transforms into something much bigger. It's like building a muscle. At first, it's weak, but the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, that 1 hour becomes something you don't even have to think about. It becomes part of your identity. You don't say, I should probably work on this today. You say, I'm going to do this because it's who I am. And don't think for a second that small progress isn't worth celebrating. Every time you show up for yourself, even on the days when it feels insignificant, you're building trust with yourself. That trust is the foundation for everything else. You prove to yourself, over and over again, that you can be counted on to take action. And that self-trust becomes the momentum that carries you forward when things get tough. It's not just about doing the hour. It's about making that time sacred. There will be days when life feels chaotic, when things go wrong, or when you feel like you failed. But here's the thing. That's when your commitment matters most. When you make this hour a non-negotiable part of your life, it's a statement to yourself. No matter what happens, I am showing up. And that commitment strengthens over time. It becomes a part of your routine, your rhythm. You start to rely on that hour like it's the air you breathe. The beauty of consistency is that it reinforces itself. When you start to see the benefits of your efforts, whether it's clearer thinking, better health, or progress toward your goals, that's when the motivation kicks in. You begin to feel the reward of showing up, and it fuels the next hour and the next. It becomes a positive feedback loop. Every time you take action, you see results, and those results motivate you to keep going. Over time, that hour isn't something you have to force yourself to do. It becomes a part of your identity. But here's the kicker. As you make this 1 hour a habit, you begin to realize that this isn't just about getting things done. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for the perfect moment or the right mood to act. You begin to show up for your goals consistently, and that consistency starts to compound into incredible results. This hour, every day, can shape your entire life. It's not just about completing tasks. It's about cultivating the mindset of someone who is always growing, always moving forward. So take this hour seriously. Make it sacred. Show up for it, even when it's hard. You'll be amazed at the transformation that happens when you commit to small, consistent actions over time. Your future self will thank you. As we come to the end of this audiobook journey, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've learned about the power of 1 hour a day. You might have thought at first, 1 hour, that's too little. How could just 1 hour a day really change anything? But I want to remind you that the difference between where you are now and where you want to be lies in how you use your time. That 1 hour is the foundation of small, incremental progress that compounds over time. Think about this. Success doesn't happen overnight. It's built over time, and most of it happens in those small pockets of time that you never thought were important. That hour you spent on learning, practicing, creating, or reflecting every single day adds up. Take a moment and think about where you were a year ago. Did you ever imagine that a small daily habit could change your trajectory? Now imagine a year from now, when that 1 hour a day has stacked up. Where will you be then? More focused? More accomplished? More aligned with your goals? Here's the truth. Consistency is key. It's easy to be motivated at first, but what makes the difference is your ability to show up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. 1 hour a day might seem small, but if you keep at it, you'll see monumental changes in your mindset, in your habits, and in your results. Think of the most successful people you know, whether it's someone in your life or a public figure. They didn't get to where they are by working non-stop. They didn't get there by waiting for the perfect conditions. They got there by showing up consistently, by dedicating focused time each day, and by making small, deliberate actions that led to massive results over time. Success isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right thing every day. That's why 1 hour is more than enough. It's about making the most of that hour and using it to its fullest potential. When you act as if you've already achieved your goals, you step into a whole new way of thinking and being. 1 hour a day is your opportunity to become the person you need to be to achieve success. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you become in the process. Imagine this. Every time you sit down to work on your goals, you remind yourself, this is who I am now, this is what I do. You're no longer waiting for motivation to strike. You're creating your future with every action you take in that 1 hour. And here's the key. This mindset will bleed into every area of your life. When you stop waiting for the perfect moment, you start to create your own momentum. Suddenly, opportunities begin to open up. You'll find yourself taking action when others hesitate. You'll start seeing the world through the lens of possibility and not limitation. Now that you've heard the power of 1 hour, here's your next challenge. What are you going to do with it? I want you to make a commitment to yourself today. For the next 30 days, dedicate 1 hour each day to something that moves you closer to your goals. It could be working on a side project, learning a new skill, or building a healthy habit. Whatever it is, the key is consistency. The key is showing up. And here's the secret. At the end of 30 days, you'll look back and be amazed at the progress you've made in just 30 hours. Whether it's a new habit formed or a skill mastered, you will be ahead of where you were. By now you've heard the steps, the strategies, and the key points on why 1 hour a day is all you need to change your life. But it's more than just hearing it. The real magic happens when you apply it. Take action today. Start small, but start now. Imagine what could happen if, instead of waiting for tomorrow, you start now. Every hour spent working toward your goals is an hour well spent. The future you're striving for is not out of reach. It's already within your grasp. And the first step? Commit to 1 hour today. Now ask yourself, what can I do today with this hour that will move me forward? This is where your journey begins. This is the turning point. Don't wait for things to fall into place. Start today and watch your life transform. What will you do with your 1 hour a day to make a difference in your life? Comment below with your action step and share how you plan to make that hour count. If this video resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use this advice to change their life. Remember, your future starts now, and it starts with 1 hour at a time.